Hi everyone, it's Leanne here. I'm joined by Mandy Magnan.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, right. It's not going to be the longest show today. Still not feeling 100%. But we wanted to cover something, well, quite focused anyway, which is helpful. So, Mandy, you have done a bit on James. God, I can't even get his name out of my mouth. You've done a bit on James Vituscka. Do you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for chatting. Even
Yeah.
though you're a little under the weather.
Oh, that's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, James entering is a very interesting character or player right now in the courts. I found it interesting because, Leslie Sloan was already dismissed. So
Mm,
I don't know why we're revisiting with James. So when he originally filed his newest affidavit with the exhibit with the text message, um, I thought immediately 100%, I was like, okay, well, he's working with Leslie Sloan. It just seems so coordinated. And then moments like or hours later, Blake Lively files a motion letter reply to it, and then the next day Leslie Sloan comes back with a second reply to try to get her attorney fees paid, all based on James's new affidavit or
yeah,
letter. And I just feel like when he said, oh, I didn't get to say my whole truth and I wanted it all out there, it's just so messy. I just don't
yeah,
know. I feel like it's very flip-floppy of what you're saying. And then he says in here, a lot of people are blaming Wayfarer and Brian Friedman for bringing them into this case when we have to remember that Blake Lively started this litigation. So we need
yeah.
to like stop the blame of Brian Friedman when he's only defending his clients. And I went back and looked at the first complaint filed by Wayfarer, and they had his name redacted. So it wasn't even them that initially brought him forward. So I just think it's a little bit strange now to just play the blame game and blame yet again Brian Freeman for being a good lawyer.
Yeah, definitely. Bruce is saying hello. He also says that he loves your pink accent wall.
Oh, thanks. My
um,
whole room is pink. This is
oh,
like my whole office, my whole room, everything I
I
own
love
is
it.
like
It's very,
pink.
very, very flowery. Hi, Bruce. Um, yes, I completely agree. I think at the moment, right, I feel like the only person that's genuinely being smeared through this lawsuit is Brian Friedman. They just seem to be flinging crap at him from all angles, whether it be filing for sanctions under two different rules or trying to get his filings stricken from the record, um, and even subpoenaing him and his law firm.
Oh,
It
that's
just it seems to be like one thing after the other, and I feel like Blake Lively is seeing Brian Friedman. He's clearly effective because he's brought the public perception, the public opinion of Wayfarer, especially of Baldoni, back into the positive. But Blake Lively is clearly feeling threatened by him because she is working so hard, getting her lawyers to work so hard to smear him. Is how I'm
oh.
feeling.
Yeah, I mean, even the filing where they put all of Vin Diesel's deposition in
I
this court
know.
docket and like being like, "Oh, look, he represents abusers and like he did this to this other lawyer and da da da." It's like, how are you putting someone else's full deposition in this court and then pulling the biggest fit when two sentences from your deposition is used?
Oh, exactly.
Unbelievable. But yeah, poor Brian Freeman, it doesn't matter what he does. It's like damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
when you see the things that Blake Lively's counsel have said in the press, I mean, they were on CNN, they have talked to TMZ, they've done the exact same things except not content creators, but on much bigger platforms like CNN is huge. And this all started with the New York Times.
Yeah.
So
It
who
did.
was using the media, the most, you know? It's like
Exactly. And you know, that is I'm gonna find it actually. But I actually
still listening, just 1 second.
no, it's fine. So when I haven't spoken to you since this happened, obviously, but you're obviously aware I got subpoenaed.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't think that worked out overly well. But I actually filed a motion to quash where I explained why I organically did not like and I didn't believe Blake Lively. And then I'm just looking for it now. I'm going to find the actual thing. I had to follow up a letter to the motion to quash because I'm sure you're aware, but Ezra Hudson, when we filed the motion to quash, she was supposed to respond and then we get a reply brief. She withdrew it on a Saturday, the motions, not the motions, sorry, the subpoenas.
Yeah.
She ceremoniously withdrew all the subpoenas from anyone who even mildly pushed back against them. So then the judge then kind of had denied our motion to quash. Technically, it was mooted, but for PR purposes, it was a win. And then she kind of implied that we had given something, like, well, I don't need to subpoena anymore because we've got what we want. We met and confirmed.
That
And
letter from Ezra was crazy because
I
I was
know.
following all of you content creators, and at that point it was like all women because at that point like Andy Signor and Perez Hilton hadn't been subpoenaed yet. So it was like there was no rhyme or reason either. Like I know content creators who have done huge deep dives like myself, who have not didn't get a subpoena, and then other ones did, and then there was people that only had like 6 7 YouTube followers, and then they got subpoenaed. Like there was no rhyme or reason. And then I knew that none of you met and conferred or gave them any of your personal information. And then for her to write that letter being like, oh yeah, based on this, this, and this, we got everything we needed, but they didn't get anything.
No, they didn't get anything at all, which really kind of annoyed me actually. But I can't. I thought I could screen share this, but apparently I can't screen share a Word document. But anyway, the last paragraph I actually put in my letter was, and it says this, was, there is an abundance of case law which confirm that improper and bad faith subpoenas issued under Federal Rules Civil Procedure 45, clearly subpoenas are being issued with no genuine purpose than to serve as a PR prop and claim a false narrative that I gave information and was part of a smear campaign. I've already referred to 3 subpoenas, which is the Candace Owen, Andy Signor, and Perez Hilton ones, the personal ones. 3 subpoenas where the notice was provided by a TMZ leak and the entire contents of Van Zandt ended up in the New York Times. I'm not here to be used as a PR spin to cure Miss Lively's disastrous image woes. And that's just it, right? Everything keeps ending up in the newspapers. Everything is some kind of PR stunt.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even heard the word sexual harassment. Like, I'm not even sure if the case involves that anymore.
Girl, I was just talking, like I was just doing my Wednesday episode and I was literally saying this same thing. It's like echoing now, like they're so much more focused on silencing Wayfarer, silencing Brian Friedman. I mean, Brian Friedman hasn't been in the press in months. Wayfarer hasn't made a statement in months. And now they're pulling all of this stuff. It's like, it's kind of weird because I feel like they're losing the plot, like, and as a survivor and knowing many women and speaking to many women in my life who have gone through, macro to micro, violations against them on every level, and knowing what I've been through and what I've had to overcome, it's like I wouldn't give a crap about my reputation. When you get to the point where you're ready to fight your abusers and you're ready to litigate this, You can smear me to the ends of the earth. I wouldn't care. I'm going to prove that they violated me and they took my power and my rights away.
Exactly.
And I feel like because their focus is so much on this untraceable smear campaign, is like you're missing it. Like you've lost me because you don't care about what people think about you or how they're going to perceive you or anything. You want to fight for your rights, especially as a woman. So where are we at with that? Like where are the complaints to Sony? Where's the sexual harassment? Where are the other victims from set? Where,
Exactly.
we're lost here, you know?
Completely. And I said this at the time as well. Like there didn't seem to be any genuine concern for other. If these men were supposed abusers, there was no concern for other female cast because her 17-point list of demands only asked for things for herself.
Mm-hmm.
It
Or
didn't
to
ask.
have authorship over edits,
Yeah,
final edits,
her
even to
husband's
have
staff.
authorship over her body double scenes.
Yeah,
She's not even in the scene. You're not the filmmaker. That
no,
showed
no.
me that she
and
wanted control of the movie because,
and yeah, no, exactly. And to take control over a nudity rider of an actress who you were not filming with at the same time, who was an
Mhm.
adult.
Yeah.
Um, all of those things, though, because it's something I broke down in quite a lot of detail. I put a link actually to that thread, but I broke down early on in this case exactly what was required for the PGA credit, and oddly enough, it was control over composure, an editor, a screenwriter, another actress or actor, um, the script, the music,
Uh-huh.
everything that she got control of. So I've always theorized that the whole purpose of this, aside from the marketing thing, was to get a PGA credit. That was the goal, and
Yeah, I mean, it
that's what she
makes
got.
sense because she fought for all of the things that get you that PGA credit.
Yeah,
And I don't want people to get it twisted here that she was in phase two very, withdrawn and just mustered it
no,
up. And no, she was still texting Justin Baldoni. She was still having late night rehearsals with him. They were still rehearsing alone. She was still inviting him to her trailer. She still had her kids on set.
she got on
She
an
was
airplane with him,
with
a
him.
private plane. She,
Yes.
she,
She was
and she wasn't even depressed and withdrawn and all the things that she claimed she was afterwards because she went and filmed in Capri. She went
exactly.
to
And
the Swift
she
concert.
was still talking with Justin via text all through post production until she was able to get into the edit room. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, oh, no, 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 I can't be around you. You can't come to the premiere. You can't even see your own movie. It's like, what was it like a delayed response or something? Because
I know.
you went to film a whole other movie where, I mean, I didn't watch the movie, I won't watch it, but, and there's scenes in there that I feel like if you're severely psychologically traumatized, you wouldn't be able to do. And as a performer, like you shouldn't go to like unhealed parts of yourself to film. So from
Yeah.
someone saying that she was repeatedly sexually harassed and, it was so traumatizing and all of this stuff, to then go immediately go shoot movies where you have these sexual scenes with yourself, I guess it was. That doesn't add up because you're gonna need to do work on yourself and like heal those parts, or that will trigger some stuff in you and it's
Yeah.
not healthy. And yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Plus, all the intimate scenes in the film were filmed in the second phase, which, by her own words, went fine. They went great. So
Yeah.
I'm really struggling. But by that point, she'd got the power, and to be honest, from a legal perspective, that doesn't stack up with harassment claim because the whole, like one of the main kind of features of harassment, I guess, is the imbalance of power. But
Yes.
she leveraged power. She had her employers. They couldn't even see the cut of the film before they went to the premiere. They had no
No, she
approval or
had
sign-off.
all of the power. I
Yeah.
mean, to take control of wardrobe, to not show up to set. Like you said, she would not go to set and then was at Taylor Swift concerts during that time. I mean, she had all of the power. These people were walking on eggshells around her. And I could see, like, that is so toxic. And I've been in work environments where you get like two or three kind of like mean girls. I mean, they don't have to be girls, but you know, that kind of behavior that
Yeah.
like is like quoted as mean girl behavior. And it's awful to be around people like that. Every move you make, everything that you do, they're like in the corner, you know, talking about it, gossiping about it, undermining you at every step. And I feel like Blake Lively was there, particularly, I feel like, in my opinion, allegedly with Jenny. I call her
Yeah.
Jenny the man beater Slate, but you know, because she beats her boyfriends.
Oh
But
my goodness. Yeah.
um, she, you know, I could just see them together. Me, you know, that kind of
Yeah, I
behavior,
do.
and that is, oh my God, it's awful to be around people like that, and it's awful to be around a narcissist like Blake Lively, who at one point is sending you 14-page text messages at 2 in the morning, and then the next day on set is like, you know, being difficult, extremely
Yeah.
difficult with everything that you say. It's like one day it's this, one day it's that, one day we're cool, one day you're telling me how sexy you want to look, how you want the wardrobe to look, and then I like, oh, it's sexy, and then you're like, it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, what's going on here? You
It's
know, I don't think that's
gaslighting.
harassment. I think that's literally just monstrous behavior, and it's not regulated.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Um, oh, I've got a question here from Rosewald. Do I think Google turned over the content creators' information that did not file a motion to quash? I'm not sure. I don't. I'm not sure actually.
It's really hard to know because
Yeah.
even only in the court filings did we find out that she subpoenaed over 107 content creators, but
Yeah.
I think only about 15 of them were ever notified. So who are the other 80 to 90 people? You know, I
Oh
reached
yeah.
out to Google a few times. I never got any email back. So who knows what they chose to do or not do? And
Well,
who
yeah,
knows?
and I didn't even get a notification actually because they misspelt my user handle.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They
That's
dropped
so,
the one.
like, how do you misspell someone that you're subpoenaing?
I
You
know.
know,
Well,
it's like this is serious stuff, but it just shows that like the
well, this is
sloppiness
it.
and
When you with like your, the famous Blake bots, like the ex patriarch, etc.
yeah,
If I get put a typo in a thread, right, which I often do because I'm using my phone screen, which is small, and I've got a really aggressive autocorrect on my phone as well. And sometimes when you're just trying to get through a long thread, you kind of keep going. You go back and you try and check it, but obviously, if your phone thinks the word itself is spelt correctly, like it just won't flag it.
of
So
course.
it doesn't know that you didn't mean that word. And it happens all the time. It's just a human error. But oh my God, I get dragged so much over that with Blake bots. But yeah, an elite a lawyer who's charging over $1,000 an hour for her services does a formal subpoena and gets the name wrong. Which
That's nuts. But
it was
also
nuts because
there's some,
I still had to actually argue that because it was clearly me, and that still makes the subpoena valid. Do you know what I mean? Like it couldn't have been anyone else. It was
no.
clear that it was me. So even though I never got the notice, I still had to argue and explain. Well, look, I was the only plausible um, person that this could have been intended for, and it turned out it was because Ezra Hudson actually confirmed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still had to go in and say why I still knew it was me, and under this rule, it's still a valid subpoena. So here I am. I'm coming to respond, and blah blah blah. But all the Blake bots. Oh no, that was a free pass to her. Like, oh, well, she's only human.
Yeah, but some of the Blake skis, the stands, especially the X dude, guys, they're dangerous. I've seen things that they've tweeted. Like, I only recently, maybe a month ago, opened X again because I know that y'all post like a lot. I just wanted to keep updated and see what the feel is and like what's going on. And dangerous. The misinformation and like taking little sentences and then like twisting them on their head to mean something completely different. And even with that dude, he like he's first of all, I think he's just extremely jealous of Justin Baldoni because he says that he's like a feminist and for women's rights, and he's basically like, I think it's just a little bit of jealousy. But however, he
Yeah.
writes so hard for Blake and Ryan, and they follow each other actually on social media accounts, allegedly, Ryan
Yes,
and
you do.
and some of his followers, like when he talks about the birthing scene and how like all of this stuff, which has already been unfounded because the other actor came out and been like, we just filmed the scene, like I don't know what's going on. He's had people like tweet under him and he's like liked it and retweeted it where they compare that birthing scene to human trafficking.
Yes, I've
That
seen
way
that.
I was like, are we really comparing shooting a film to human, what happened to like allegedly to
Yeah,
Blake Lively, to human trafficking?
yeah, we're there.
Like what? Like that's so crazy. That's
Well,
crazy to me.
Claudia is asking if the sexual harassment claim falls, will the protection fall as well, or is it strictly up to the CRD filing? So if she can't make the claims for sexual harassment, if she can't prove them, the smear campaign, I'm guessing that's what we're talking about here, but the smear campaign will go away because smearing
Yeah.
someone is not illegal. It's only illegal if it's done in retaliation of a protected activity, and that protected activity would be sexual harassment in the workplace in this case. So, and then, I mean, I'm trying to work out what protection means. If we're talking about Section 47.1, the judge has not ruled that that even applies. And in fact, in his motion to dismiss, he said he wasn't applying it, but he gave leave to Blake Lively to make an argument for it, but she won't do that now until the end of the whole case and trial.
Yeah,
So
I
we
think
won't.
she doesn't have to prove sexual harassment happened. I think she has to prove that she complained and made complaints about sexual harassment, and through those complaints they did a retaliatory smear
Yeah.
campaign, from my understanding, which
Well,
is
she
like
doesn't
kind
have
of
to.
baloney, but
She doesn't actually have to prove that she complained. She doesn't have to actually complain. This is it. With Section 47, you don't have to actually complain. You've just got to feel in good faith, and that's the key bit there. In good faith that you were sexually harassed. So it's going to be down to her to prove all of this in court, and if the jury doesn't buy it, then there is no sexual harassment case. There is also no smear campaign because it's not part of a sexual harassment case. And Kinney Kinney says spintriarch, misogynist, misandrous. Not
well, I
wrong.
think it's going to be an interesting, like she has such an uphill battle against her because now she's withdrew, her 10th and
Mm,
11th causes. She wants to
yeah,
go with garden variety. Well,
yeah,
we're here for garden variety. Like, you don't want to prove any of your medical records. That already tells me that it wasn't severe enough to even be filing a suit. Like, you didn't see a therapist, you didn't go to a doctor, you didn't have to go on antidepressants, you didn't have like a medical plan,
no,
steps every day that you were going to take to like, get out there, live your life again. And it's just from anyone that has suffered any of these things, that it's not garden variety. You know what I
no.
mean? Like it
But
takes a long time, if ever, to truly heal.
I mean, I've had a lot of people sort of say, well, what's the difference between the intentional infliction of severe emotional distress, and what's the difference, between that and these kind of garden variety? And the difference is massive. With garden
Massive.
variety, what they're expecting you to be arguing. You don't really need proof for it. Is what is the kind of expected trauma from someone. If they prove that they've been sexually harassed, they will look at, well, what does the sexual harassment, what's it look like? Is it someone just calling your character's clothes that they bought themselves sexy? Or are we talking about someone who was inappropriately touched? And then they'll kind of measure, well, how much trauma would a reasonable person experience? And I know she's not a reasonable person, but that is the law and how that would be applied. And then they'll kind of give a very, very low level amount of damages compared to the IED, emotional distress claims, which would have been huge. But if she's not prepared to allow access to her medical records to prove this, then, and that's not me speculating on whether there are any, but that is me saying, well, she would have known at the start of this claim that that was part of the deal. Everyone, many women go through it when they've been subject to these kind of acts.
Yes,
they have to go through all kinds of very invasive procedures. Their phones get taken, the devices get taken, and they're forensically gone through with a fine-tooth comb. Their psychology records, they go through that, and that is part and parcel, unfortunately.
Yeah, the system isn't fair. I mean, the system is not designed for victims. Like, I'll say that outside of Blake Lively.
Yeah.
The system is not fair. I mean, it is on, sadly, the victim to prove the case. But when that does happen, I mean, the first thing your lawyers tell you is like, make sure, your doctor, usually they have questionnaires for the doctors and stuff to fill out, or your therapist to fill out.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, they're going to have to fill these forms out. They're going to have to fill these forms out. They're probably going to have to come on record. Like, you have to make sure that all your health professionals are okay with that and are able to do that, which it's kind of their duty. But it's like one of the first things that you're told is that, and all of your past history too comes to light, because they're going to try to prove, I mean, outside of this case, because this is a very different kind of case, I feel like, they're going to try to prove that, like, the victim had pre-existing conditions, like like
Which
so much
is
stuff.
their
But
right. They're right to do that,
right,
because if there is some kind of other explanation for trauma, that, like if they already, like, she's saying, well, I couldn't leave my house. Well, if she was already a known agoraphobic, then
right.
agoraphobic, I'm not sure if that's right. Agoraphobic.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
If she already had pre-existing agoraphobia, then it is fair. It is fair to say, well, hold on a minute. How do we know all of that was down to us? And then it mitigates some of the damages. And that is an absolutely fair system, because it is not fair for you to be responsible for a condition when the person already had a similar. What you did may have made it worse, but they were already not going outside of their house. So the damages that would have come with something like that, like, not being able to get a job, loss of enjoyment and family life, and so on and so forth, all those damages, you shouldn't have to pay for 100% of them. And I know that makes me sound like I'm defending like a perpetrator. I'm not.
No, it does. No, it does make sense. Like, pre-existing conditions do exist.
Exactly, because in law, you're not supposed to actually profit from a claim. You are supposed to be put back in the position you would have been in had this thing not happened. You're not supposed to, like, earn a lot of money and kind of, get more than you're entitled to.
No, it's the same thing if you get into a car accident and you sue the insurer. I mean, you have to jump through hoops. Sometimes it's years you have to go through physical, psychological evaluations. You have to, I mean, the testing alone just to prove that that injury came from, it's like, she would have known this already before filing. 100%. So to now come out and say, like, well, I don't want to show medical records, and I don't want to show my financials, and I don't want to show anything. I just want you to believe me. It's like,
well,
we
that's
still
exactly what she's done.
Still haven't seen any complaints, still haven't seen any text messages from her to any of her friends, any of her publicists, anybody about it. Still
Yeah.
haven't seen like the complaints that she wrote to Sony allegedly. Like there's been nothing. So
No,
it's
it's
kind
not.
of like,
And P has actually made a good point. She accused all four Wayfarer men of SH, not just Justin Baldoni. And I think sometimes it is actually very easy to forget about Jamie Heath, and you only really hear about Steve Sarowitz when they're talking about how much money he's got, which is just makes you
Ryan
wonder. They're just
Reynolds
trying to,
doesn't have the same
yeah,
amount of money. Like
like
Blake
Taylor Swift
Lively and
didn't.
Ryan Reynolds have the same amount of money as Steve Sorowitz.
I know.
They just didn't do their homework and didn't expect him to have money.
Well,
That's what
one
it
thing
is.
I will say is one of the men who is not included in this lawsuit, who I do think has probably been smeared horrifically, and don't forget, mind, they technically tied Jed Wallace to sexual harassment initially, because when I read the CRD, it looked like they were suggesting he had sexually harassed her as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's actually pursuing him under Section 47.1 as well, even though he was nowhere near the sexual harassment, he never was on set and he didn't even get involved until more than a year later. She is still pushing that line. But the man I feel who has been harmed more in many ways, because he's not even in the lawsuit, is Adam Monshine. That really
Yeah, he's just
that
an
bothers me.
actor.
He was just there doing like a 2 second scene, half a day.
I couldn't imagine on one of my productions that I'm producing,
Mm,
this happened with an actor where you think, okay, they're just being difficult. Oh my God, we're just gonna work through. Let's go work through. Let's just get the movie
yeah,
done to then come back and claim this. And I've done like a lot of spicy scenes with actors on my own films that I'm like the lead in. So I
yeah,
could never imagine working with someone where the trust has been so broken and they're using everything against you. But I mean, he was just an actor. Like he came
I
in to
know.
play the doctor, just like Justin Baldoni's wife, Emily, she played the ultrasound nurse. He came in to play a doctor. He was on set for 1 day. So she's also saying that he was there just to look because she had her legs in stirrups. And he's like, I was an actor. I got cast for this role. Like, what? Like, you know
I
what I mean?
know.
And it's
And to degrade him to just being a friend as well.
And
Like,
for
oh,
her to say, yeah, that, oh, he just brought his friend on. Yeah, that's what usually happens when an actor turns filmmaker. You bring all of your friends with you because you know how hard it is to get parts. And Ryan Reynolds often casts his friends too in his movies.
yeah,
So I think it's just everything she says is just so double-sided. It
yeah.
doesn't make sense. But yeah,
And
that poor guy, like,
I know,
oh my
right? He's been
gosh.
dragged through the mill, and for what? Just sitting there and playing a part. Because where is an obstetrician going to sit other than between, you know, a woman's legs while her legs are in stirrup? If they're emulating a birth scene,
And she also
yeah,
said in that filing too that Steve Soritz showed up on set that day only because she was going to have her legs in stirrups and he wanted to see like in between her legs. But then it says that she was covered in the same fabric, and in the footnote in her complaint it says all actors during these scenes like this wear that fabric. But then in her actual description of it, it makes it sound like they put her in something so bizarre. And it's like, well, if it's fine for all actors and that's how you have to shoot the scene, then why isn't it
yeah,
fine for
no.
you? And you knew reading the script that there was a birthing scene. What did you think? You were gonna be in your 5 pairs of pants? Like, what the, like, it's a
I
birthing scene.
know.
Like,
I wanted to quickly just ask a really quickly cover this now, because we have got to get to James
yeah,
Batuska,
we
but
gotta get
there's
to
so
James.
much
Yeah.
about this case. Um, Isabella Ferrer. What did you think of? I keep saying her name wrong. Isabella Ferrer.
Oh
Um,
no, Isabella. What? Izzy. She should have just accepted the subpoena, and then filed whatever she had meet and confers, narrowed the scope, done it all behind private doors. And then if they couldn't get to anything, filed her motion to quash or filed, to have it narrowed down or whatever. That letter that her lawyer wrote was such a botch job. It was riddled with errors. It was such an attack and a bullying move to Justin Baldoni specifically.
yeah,
Um,
And they
it
attacked Friedman in that as well. It's like another law firm. Now I know that, and I know there's beef with him and Friedman because he was
yeah,
representing someone who sued Friedman for
last year
defamation
for
and lost.
defamation. Yeah, and lost. So I think her choice of lawyer screams to me that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are behind it. Because, you know, they have such a personal vendetta to Brian Friedman, but
Yeah.
that was crazy because you're here fighting that they can't serve you through alternate means. Then just accept the subpoena, like you're right here. Like, why are you
So
filing this letter then?
we in the UK, we don't really use subpoenas. We use subpoenas, obviously, and summons, but like not as much. And I can't help but think the lawyer has turned up. He's there. I don't
Yeah.
understand why, the judge couldn't, just for the sake of efficiency and keeping costs down, have just said to him, look, you've kind of responded. Just take the subpoena and then file your objections to it.
I
But to make
agreed.
Wayfarer go back and go looking, and I'll tell you now, right? Because this lawyer kind of said, well, why didn't they try her talent agency? Why didn't they try a skip search? You're absolutely sure, right, that Wayfarer are now going to go and do those two things. And if they have to come back again and say, look, now we need to file, another motion for alternative service. By the way, we tried the talent agency and we tried a skip search.
Mm-hmm. It just looks really bad and I mean, it just looks really bad because again, another discredited witness. I mean, she's not reliable at this point. She's obviously not on the side of truth and justice. It's clear that she's now in cahoots with Blake Lively. She even said that she took her subpoena back in February. And why can't they just use the same information from Blake? And it's like, because they're asking for different stuff. And yeah, it's just so bizarre because now if they do try to reach out to her, and first of all, like as an actress, if I am dealing with anything outside of acting, like anything legal,
Yeah.
please don't go to my agent. Like, don't go to my management team.
Well,
Like, I would never want you to go to my talent agent. Do you know how busy those people are? They have rosters of people. They're dealing with $1 million deals. They're making contracts every day. They're trying to get you auditions. They don't want to accept service for subpoenas for you. Like, you got to deal with your own stuff. That's why you have an entertainment lawyer or a lawyer who's supposed to do that for you. So I
exactly.
think the judge just played it so safe on that call, and I feel like he should have just said like, "Will you accept service? Please answer within 24 hours, yes or no." And then the lawyer can be like, "No, okay, great. Wayfarer, go and find her, and then come back if you can't."
I
Period.
know, it's just so ridiculous though, because I mean, like you say, why the talent? I said it in my post on it at the time, and Wayfarer then said exactly the same thing in their response as well. The attorney is more appropriate than the talent agency for a subpoena for a start. But skip trace, right? I don't know how. I've seen a few people in the chat ask, like, what is that? Basically, that is what it's like a tracing method, right? It's where you're trying to locate someone who has skipped town or they're just being difficult to find. And it's quite often used in legal context, particularly with debt collection or criminal investigations. Um, but I mean, you use things like online databases, public records, social media. I'm sure that Wayfarer will have done stuff like that. They probably would have attempted to reach out to her, through things like social media. I'm pretty sure in their filing it was heavily redacted, but it did allude to at least one of the addresses they used. They got it from Blake Lively herself.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna
It's
say.
like, well,
They
if,
said, I mean, it was redacted, but you can see where they were going with it when
yeah,
they
they
said
left
we
enough
didn't
there,
just
like,
we didn't pull these addresses out of thin air. We got them
no,
from Blake's own,
I
disclosures
mean,
that she gave. So
that kind of motion did fail, and it was frustrating and stupid, but it is because they didn't make specifically say this is where we got those addresses from. They should have said that.
yeah, I think
That's
Wayfarer is just playing it really safe and
yeah.
kind of vague in a lot of motions. And I think that they need to start. I know that they only want to defend themselves, but it's really time I think that they go on the fierce attack and
Yeah, they do.
start annihilating them. And I know that, you know, Jamie Heath and Justin and Steve, all of them don't have like you know, vindictive or like revenge bone
Oh, do
probably
you
in their
know?
body, but
You
it's
say
time.
that.
Like it's time because
You
they need to really start, I think, really truly letting Brian Freeman and their lawyers go on the attack and really solve this thing because it's just getting away from us. It's Blake's missing the whole plot, I think. It's,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I did see a bit of a feisty side to Justin Baldoni. I don't know, because you were in it as well. I didn't recognize you because like the images were black and white. It's like people were like, "Oh, that's Mandy." I was like, "Ah!" And I was only looking at the X addresses because it's got the usernames on it. And it was
Mhm.
4 o'clock in the morning in my time. I even missed my own name being on it. But you know that chat kind of thread from
Yeah.
them where like a bunch of us. There was me, there was you, there's CJ, there was quite a few. Elsie, and we were all on this kind of like we were being talked about. Our content was being talked about.
Yeah.
And there was a few moments, like a few messages from Justin Baldoni. He was like, "Well, there's no truth," and and it's like you were getting a bit of a sense that even someone who's got such a gentle soul who doesn't want to harm a fly, even he's like, you could clearly see the guy was at his limit.
Oh yeah,
What
he
he
was
was able
saying
to
like
say.
he's like this is, you know, this is bullshit, this is lies, this, you
Yeah,
know, he was like go tell them this like you can tell that he was ready to put an end to
I
it.
sense there was a little bit of fight back in him, not fight, and I don't say that as in like he was going out smearing her. I'm saying like even even people who will tolerate a lot will have a limit on how much the guy has just had his entire film production taken from him and been humiliated in the basement. I could well believe that, I know it's all under the threat of if you say or do anything wrong, I'm going to accuse you of sexual harassment. I've got this
Mhm.
hanging over you. I could see that he's had enough. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
I
got
mean,
that privately in those messages, which I don't think he ever expected to become public. Um,
no.
he was actually airing that, in a private conversation with, people who were supporting him, which it was refreshing to see that
Oh
because
gosh,
I was
and
wondering where they left their fight, because I
those text
wanted,
messages look so bad for Blake. What were they
yes,
thinking? How can you read those chains of like if you're Blake Lively, you know, or her counsel, at
yeah,
some point, aren't you reading this and telling your client
I know,
we should back out here. We should try to settle or do something because those text it repeatedly says in the text message, this isn't us, right? This isn't us.
mm,
Like, and then they're talking about content creators like they don't know us. If they were feeding us stories, don't you think they would have been like, hey, just give this to this person? Just no, they were like, oh, check this out, check this out. Like they don't, it doesn't make sense. Like nothing makes sense. And to have those texts from Justin like asking for prayers before he goes into a meeting with Blake and stuff is like he was terrified of this woman. I
yeah,
don't think he's terrified of her and then going and harassing her and then fat shaming her at the same time. Like
no,
it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. But those text messages to me prove that there was no retaliation and that there was also no harassment either. You know, that they knew from the beginning that she was using that 17-point demand to take
yeah,
control of the film. Like they've known it for a long time. I just don't think they knew how far her crazy would go.
no, but I think the judge is very much, I think he is setting this up so that it gets to trial and it'll be decided by the jury, obviously. But I think he's given Blake Lively absolutely no wiggle room here to come back and complain
Mm-hmm.
or to say, "Well, I was denied this, I was denied that." It looks like to everyone else, to everyone, it looks like she's getting her own way. And there are times when I'm a bit like, "Oh, for goodness sake,"
Yeah.
But from a practical perspective, like the whole deposition thing, the location, where's the deposition going to be? Yeah, Wayfarer should have had to say that is normally their right.
That's 100%. Yeah, that was
But
crazy.
it was crazy. But at the same time, we're talking about a different location, which is 2 miles away. and it's going to have it's not going to have any detrimental effect on the deposition, whether it's held in her lawyer's office or Wayfarer's lawyer's office. Is it inconvenient? Yeah, but is it something that she now can't go and say, well, I've been treated unfairly? Absolutely, because otherwise, if they'd done it in Wayfarer's lawyer's office, they would have. I could see her saying later on down the line, I felt unsafe. I felt this, but
Absolutely. I
he
was
was making the argument
intimidated.
that
Or
she
if
would feel safe.
anything leaked, it would have been like,
Yeah,
oh, even, it leaked that she brought in all of their lawyers and what she was wearing. And she
yeah,
tried to blame that on Brian Freeman, that he
I
went and
know.
told people what she was You think Brian Freeman is running to TMC to report your fashion?
No.
What? Like, so I think what the judge is doing is he is basing his rulings on Blake Lively being the
Yeah,
victim. She's coming forward with these claims, so he has to rule it that everything that she is saying is true in her thing and that she is the victim, right? So even that deposition thing, she says she's not safe. She's already experienced repeated sexual harassment by these people. Okay, fine. Let's make you feel safe. Let's. So I do agree that when it comes to as it goes on and on and on, she's not going to be able to now come back and say, oh, there was unfair rulings or, bias against her for being a victim and speaking out or anything like that. Like it's been very much ruled in her favor as the victim
yeah,
stepping
no, it's
forward.
true. That's true. Virtual tourist, can you clarify which Canadian guy we're talking about here? Can you see the messages, Mandy?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm guessing this is I can't remember his name now. Something J. Alexander Townsend. Who guy who keeps filing stuff. Um, but he's just done a motion to quash. I'm not quite. I haven't seen the subpoena he's supposed to have had, but he put a bunch of
Yeah.
screenshots of me and well, not me, my channel and Chris Cassidy and quite a few others actually. And I'm
Did you
not
read
sure
the
why.
new thing that he filed?
Which one? He's been filing stuff since back in July.
I'm gonna tell you.
Oh God.
So I got one paragraph in and I was like, I can't read this.
Isn't the motion to quash the other day or yesterday?
Yeah, it was
Yeah. Have you seen the exhibits? Like it's just screenshots of
yes.
various content creators, including myself, our channels, and it's titled "Evidence of Association." I don't even know who he is.
So he originally filed an
A
omnibus
motion to
brief,
intervene.
right? A motion to
Yeah.
intervene, which was denied because
Yeah.
he's just an audience. That would be like, can you imagine every person that watched Gossip Girl filing a letter to intervene?
I
Every
know.
person that, is on Wayfarer's side. I don't pull me into this. Even all the people that got pulled into this case are trying to get out of this case. Why are you putting
That's
yourself in this case? Like,
that's the whole
to
point.
me
Yes.
already, I'm like, what? Because I don't want to be in anything I'm not invited to. Like, first of all, like, don't pull me into this, right? And
Yeah.
then that was denied, of course. Like, I didn't even think the judge was actually going to,
No, he spent
say
time on
anything
that.
on
To
it,
be
spend time
fair.
on it, but he did. And then I guess I heard that maybe he was subpoenaed because of that.
Well, no, now.
Or
So Christina, one of my mod Christina says Casty is mad, and she is, and right, and I do agree with her actually because he's he's thrown in the thumbnail of her questioning the judge and kind of sold it as he's put his own narrative over what it means and context, which I don't know. I wasn't happy. Speaking for myself, I wasn't happy to be kind of having screenshots of my stuff put in.
oh my, I'm just looking at the exhibits now. I did
Yeah,
download the
Exhibit
exhibits
C.
last night and I was going to talk about it today on my show, but then I was like, there was already just, I don't want to talk about things that aren't like almost like not official or not, there's only so
Yeah.
much time in an episode to talk about.
Oh, exactly.
Sometimes
Yeah.
there's 20 filings a day. You don't get to all of them in one sitting, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh my God, he actually
Well,
screenshotted Cassidy's
yeah.
video of how many conflicts of interest with the judge.
with his brother as well, him and his picture of him and his brother. Now, I understand these are public things, but you know, like in my motion to quash, I referred to both Andy and Colonel Kurtz. Andy Signal from Popcorn Planet and Colonel Kurtz. And I went and I spoke to both of them and I said, look, I want to talk about this. Like with Colonel Kurtz, it was the Ari Emanuel recording, and with Andy, it was about the misrepresentation of his telephone call by Ezra Hudson, where I kind of schooled her on the law. Like she called it a crime, it wasn't a crime. And I went to both of them and in writing as well. So it was all messages, and I said, look, I want to mention this. If it's about you, this is what I want to say. This is why I want to say it. But if you're not happy, I will not do it. And I got permission from both of them before I said a word. And I feel like that's just a common courtesy, which
it's a common courtesy, of course. I mean, if you're going to, get in with creators and put yourself in the middle of this and then name other people who are now in the case.
Yeah. Because we're all already in there.
Who are fighting for their freedom of speech. I mean, hi, hi, Rath. That is unhinged, but just like the memorandum of law that he wrote is 18 pages and I'm telling you, I couldn't get through the first paragraph.
Just to fill you in though, there was a filing. I found his filing. So the judge denied his motion to intervene on the 6th of August. And then on the 14th of August, he wrote in again and said, I've been told by a YouTube channel that I am on a subpoena. But that is it. He hasn't actually said he's received a subpoena. He hasn't said where it's come from. He hasn't said, is it him personally or has he got some kind of content creation channel? Because I looked at his ex, so he doesn't even follow any of us. He hasn't even posted on the case other than one repost from back in February, someone else's thing. He's got he follows 6 people. He's got 2 people following him, and none of them are content creators at all. They're not content creators, let alone ones that speak about this case or have been subpoenaed. So I'm not sure what it's all about. I won't go into that too much. I think Cassidy was quite rightly upset.
Of course, because if she gets re-subpoenaed or however it goes with Blake Lively and Ezra, I mean, they're willing to do anything at this point, or even pull them in deposition, or who knows, try to get them at trial. Who knows where this is going to go? It's like now the judge sees that, maybe he didn't have that information before, but now it's on the court docket. And it's like, how dare you? Like, I just think that's very distasteful. And like continuing to want to put yourself in the middle of something that has nothing to do with you because you watch a YouTube channel and that YouTube channel got subpoenaed. Now you're going to, it's multiple instances now that he's filed letters and memorandums.
I'm really quickly, because I've just been told that chat's not quite sure what we're talking about. So I'm just going to show a couple of the exhibits.
Okay, yeah.
So this is from, is it J. Alexander Townsend? This is the guy who initially did a motion to intervene because he was a fan of Popcorn Planet, I think it was. That was denied by the judge. He is now saying he's been subpoenaed, but we haven't seen this subpoena. And he's done a motion to quash, but he hasn't asked for anything. He's not asked for a quash directly. He's asked for everyone's subpoenas to be quashed, which we tried to do, and they said no. He's also not said where his subpoena is, so the judge couldn't really consider it anyway, because he doesn't know what he's quashing, because he's not included the subpoena. But he's included. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, you can see it. So he's included these kind of YouTube collaborations. I mean, I don't know how it's being worked, because this is his evidence of association. We do not know who this man is, or woman. We don't even know if it's a man. He's not been part of any of these videos. these are all three of these have got Omar in. Omar wasn't even subpoenaed. Then these three are mine. And then we got Andy with Elsie and Lauren here. I do not know who this person is, this Charm Life Therapy, but I believe this is the only interview that they've done from what someone else has told me, but I haven't looked into this. Then they've gone into Twitter interactions and they've reposted stuff that I've reposted or my own posts. And stuff from Lauren and what Andy's reposted.
I'm just confused because what does this do other than make the content creators who are following this case like bring them even further into the spotlight? Like, what does this do? This does not help. I don't feel like, in my opinion, this helps. I mean, you're just pulling content creators back into the spotlight, proving that they're biased against Blake.
And I mean, if he's been subpoenaed, he has a right to file a motion to quash. That bit I've got no problem with. I just don't understand where these exhibits are coming in and how that is supposed to be helping. But there's stuff here. But then this, I think this is what upset Cassidy is. This is enough. And it's like, well, did we need to do that?
That was the one I saw, and I was like, what do we do? Isn't Judge Lyman already super pissed at us? Like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. He's just kind of said about to be that warning to Perez as well about the tone and questioning bias and stuff. I mean, I'm sure nothing's going to come of this really, but I don't have enough information really to know if this is kind of
no, me either. I don't understand. I don't know how.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, like the rest of us, if he's been subpoenaed, it's all I'm saying is I haven't seen it. And he wasn't on the ones that he didn't appear to be on the ones that
if you go down below after the attachments still on August 25th, there's a memorandum of law that he also filed.
Where is it?
It's right under the attachments, so it's on docket 704.
Okay.
It's a memorandum of law and support, and it's 18 pages, and it's all written in like it's written, just read the first summary of court argument. And it's written like this is a novel, like a story.
Mr. Friedman violated 3.6.
Oh no, are you on
No, what am I on?
It's a motion to quash filed by the J. Alexander Townsend.
Oh, is it the actual quash, the main document?
Yeah, the main document.
Oh, you said it was under the exhibits. I don't know. On my thing, it's
not under. I mean the one down below. But even just like the first paragraph, it's written like is some kind of novel. Like it says, like, Your Honor, basically it comes down to this. I have been watching this case closely, and I've observed an abundance of irregularities that have led me to certain beliefs about this case. I am open. Okay, then that's fine. It says, this woman actually does believe that people failing to see her artistic and creative potential, like, it's written very, like, not straightforward, like, hey, the plaintiff did this, the defendants are this, I'm a third party action to the,
Yeah.
like almost like a fairy tale, like a novel, like it's very interesting. But I just don't have enough information about who this person is, what does he want. Like, I know that he basically just wants sanctions on Blake Lively, and he wants all of the subpoenas quashed.
Yeah, and that is fine. If it, like I say, if he's been subpoenaed, then that bit is fine. I mean, he's obviously got to make the arguments as well, because from my understanding, he's Canadian. So when
he's from Toronto.
He is, yeah, and
That's the
like,
shame here. There aren't very many of us out here. So I'm like, come on,
oh
between me and Ashley, I'm like, hello. But he does say in this paragraph, I mean, he might get in real trouble with the judge in contempt because I just browsed through it and in one paragraph it says it is clear that although Miss Lively is a troubled, vengeful person with
yeah,
delusions of persecution, she is not intelligent. And her lawyers know this. So, I mean, they're calling out the lawyers and calling Blake names again. The judge was
yeah.
very clear on, on that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, no, I mean that's absolutely fine. I'm happy like to kind of have a chat with him, like not right now because obviously we now got to get to James Batuska.
yeah.
But
No, I would love to talk to this
yeah,
guy and see,
I
like,
don't
did
see
he
why
get
we.
subpoenaed? What is
Yeah,
he fighting for? Like, what's going on? Because it was just, out kind of out of nowhere almost.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I feel Riley is saying that the person is actually in the chat. So
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah, so
Oh.
hi Spicy Peach. Drop us a message or something, and quite happy to like talk to you directly about all of
Absolutely.
this. And if if you need any help or advice or anything, I mean, we're happy to do that too. We're just trying to make sense of some of this. I haven't read it all,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to understand how the screenshots help. Like, what is the message there? Because I don't, I'm not quite sure what they're for, but
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure. I read it, like, as I said yesterday, I like browsed through it and I was just kind of confused by it
yeah,
all. And then when I got to the attachments and I saw all of the content creators named in there, I was like, oh no. And I
no,
saw, you, Lauren, Cassidy. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening
no, that's
here?
fine. I yeah. So the offer is extended. I can I know who you are on X, so I can quite happy send you a message so you're able to respond or something. Or if there's another platform, just let us know.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
quite happy to hear kind of your story on this. And but I got to read it properly myself. I'm still catching up from the 2 weeks I took off from my own subpoena, and then the illness on top, and the holiday in between, and so I haven't read everything.
But it's important to get everyone's voices heard on.
Absolutely,
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing that happened to Aiko, right? And it
yes,
was important just to hear everyone's voice and get their story. So definitely want to hear your story and what's going on, especially with these filings. Like, what is, what's going on?
thank you for the super chat, Riley. Really appreciate it, and thank you for letting me know. So Spicy Peach has said sharing his subpoena would defeat the purpose. His anonymity is the only thing preventing Blake from withdrawing right now, and I need to stand in. If they know who I am, they withdraw and we all get nothing. There is a second message that says nothing.
Hmm.
Yeah, but the judge isn't going to be able to quash a subpoena without knowing which one it is. He's probably not going to be able to quash it anyway because technically it's it's Google or X or
Yeah.
whoever, the tech firm has been subpoenaed. It's not directly you. But yeah, okay. Again, though, still there's an offer there to get in touch. Quite happy to
You
listen
don't
to
have to
you.
share the subpoena either, but even if you want
No,
to
you
stay
don't have to share
anonymous,
it.
just to get more information,
Yeah,
than what we've had.
that's absolutely fine. Um, yeah, it does sound like they're
James,
trying
should
to do
we?
it for everyone, Christina, but that's not going to work. Um, I don't see that being successful. Appreciate it's worth a try, but I mean, for those of us that were subpoenaed with the July 3rd subpoenas, they're all expired anyway now. So either Blake Lively has got the information or she didn't. I don't know about any other subpoenas though. I'm not hearing a mass wave of people saying I've been subpoenaed.
Mm-mm. And I
Um,
think third party discovery now, I think, is wrapping up. I think the end of the month or something, it should be done. I forget the exact date, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't think the judge can just waive all of the.
No, he
That's
has
not
no.
how it
He
goes. Yeah.
can't. James Batuska. We're there.
James, what is you doing back here?
James Batuska. My goodness, right? So this guy, I considered him an unreliable flip flop throughout the whole thing, right from the start with the interrogatories.
Right
With
from the start.
right from the start, because he started with there was like different messages. He just seems to change his tune depending on who he's talking to.
Yeah.
And I thought initially, oh, Leslie Sloan, because she'd raised an issue in, I think she was trying to compel him. And I thought, oh, actually, she's got a point, because there are two messages and they say different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm open to hearing. But then his declaration came. Well, first of all, his response to the motion to compel, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolute slam dunk. I could not see a way for Leslie Sloan to argue it. But then out of nowhere, he signs a declaration a few days before the motion to dismiss, saying basically, I didn't mean that. Wayfarer didn't check with me what I meant. And blah blah blah, and they didn't have my permission to use the messages. And I remember sitting there thinking, why would you speak to the lawyer of Wayfarer? And bear in mind, he spoke to Brian Friedman in December when they were
Yeah.
gearing up to litigate and defend. Why would you make contact with Brian Friedman and show him these messages if you had no intention for them to be used in a lawsuit? So that had me really confused at that point. And at that point, I was thinking, oh, you're just full of shit.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
nicest way possible.
I totally agree. When he was first fighting his, subpoena or whatever, he didn't have to say nothing else. I mean, he has journalist, integrity and all of that stuff. So for him to then just come on Leslie Sloan's side, I was like, nah, something's going on here. Something's
Yeah,
not
something's
right.
going on.
And, Leslie Sloan gets dismissed. Is whatever it is, whatever. And then he was gone, right? But now he switched lawyers. He's on his third set of lawyers. Then he
Yeah,
comes back and he files this affidavit saying, that he's only here because Brian Freeman brought him in here. He's lost his job. He wants to say unequivocally that he has never said that Leslie Sloan used the word sexually harassed or sexually assaulted when there's
yeah.
text messages that actually say that he said that. Now he's saying, oh, unequivocally, I never, ever, ever said that once to anyone. But there's literally text messages of you saying that. So it's like, well, you did, take some accountability. Um, and then immediately Blake and Leslie's counsel is on it. So I'm like, okay, you guys all planned this. First you tried with Isabel Ferrer. Now you're doing it with James. It just seems a little bit planted. But today there was a response from the Wayfarer people
There
concerning,
was. Yeah, I've
and,
got that.
and it's very interesting what they say about this text in December, because Leslie Sloan said that this text message from December pretty much puts her in the clear that, she never said it. But now the Wayfarer people are saying that this text is referring to, he was screenshotting a bunch of texts between him and Leslie Sloan that he was sending them. But in that screenshot, she never says harassment or sexual assault. But
Yeah,
he was talking about a different conversation they had. And I can see that now when I read it, when he says, oh, she also goes off calling Steph Jones a liar. Never once did she mention anything about sexual harassment. Here is the screen recording. He was referring to just the screen recording.
he
He's
was,
not he's not
which was a
referring
different
to,
time.
right.
Because
So
I think that's where the confusion is, right? And I can see why Wayfarer got confused, because he's referring, when he says, "Oh, she never she never mentioned sexual harassment, sexual assault, whatever word he uses." He is referring to the messages, the screen recording of the messages back in August. But he is, and then the other message that you see where I was like, but because he says, and now she's saying that Blake's been sexually assaulted. That's the message where I'm like, well, hold on a minute. No, you did say that. But that is
Exactly.
in real time in December. And I've got the response. I mean, the response from Wayfarer was really good, actually.
I agree.
So they obviously start by saying, and I said this when Leslie Sloan filed this supplemental thing, the first thing I said was, hold on a minute, she hasn't even filed for leave from the court to do this. Because the day before, or the same day, Blake's was it was, like the judge came out and said, I'm going to disregard this because you didn't ask permission to file it. So I'm hoping the judge will kind of cut it short there. But she also says in her filing, well, she suggests anyway that it's the first time that she has ever seen and asked the court to consider this text message, but it's not, because she has also previously referred to it in her original motion for fees and costs.
Mm-hmm.
She actually refers to it, which I have here in pink, this little bit here. She is actually referring to the same text message, and that this is from her original motion, which was back in July. July. And then Wayfarer quite rightly say, well, hold on, the text message itself is just a text message talking about another text message.
Yeah.
It refers to nothing. And by the way, Batuska is not reliable. He's not credible anymore. So they kind of go at him a little bit.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting, because this looks like it would be a huge smoking gun for Leslie Sloan, and of course, New York Times and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, they're all lumped in together because they got dismissed together. But and that's what everyone was kind of saying, right? Like, oh my gosh, that's what. Oh, this is. They're saying, he's saying she never said that. She never said that. But what he's saying is, in the screenshots I have, she never said that, but I'll still send you these screenshots. But then you have a text from him being like, now she's telling me Blake Lively was sexually assaulted. Why didn't she bring that up before? And it's like, well, that conversation didn't just happen. Why would he just text the Wayfarer people that out of nowhere? Out of nowhere? Like, doesn't make sense.
And that's the whole point. I think actually all those messages together, if when you can finally make some sense of it, it actually does help Wayfarer.
Definitely.
But it confused me because I was sitting there going, well, actually, no, you did say that, you alluded that he didn't say Sloan by name, but he was like, well, and now she's saying Blake's been sexually assaulted. Well, who else would he be speaking to but the PR, really? But it's opposite. But you assumed that it was Sloan because, there was evidence that this guy was, in touch with Brian Friedman, with Melissa Nathan. And I would have thought that Brian Friedman at minimum would have said, well, who said it?
Yeah.
I can't see that conversation happening and not clarifying these details. But I can see why there was some confusion about the whole sexual assaulted thing. I found it a bit. I do understand that people can do use these words interchangeably. They're very different in legal speak. But I also think it's a stretch for a journalist to be making that kind of mistake as well. That's just my thought process.
Yeah, I think journalists are supposed to ask questions and get answers and then report on those questions and answers. But he's kind of put himself right in the middle. I mean, the way he obviously in December was on Wayfarer's side, because why are you talking to Brian Freeman? Why are you sending screenshots to Melissa Nathan? Why are you even, there is some form of journalist integrity that goes out the window when you're now sharing trade secrets, even if it's from Blake Lively's camp to the opposing team. And I feel like, was he also doing the same thing? What where are we? But yeah, the text now, I mean, it's clear as day, like when I read it, that he was talking about
Yeah,
things that is what he can prove, right? What he can prove that she was saying.
yeah,
And it doesn't look good for Leslie Sloan. And the way that Leslie Sloan and Blake Lively both jumped on this as like, oh, look, we never said it,
oh yeah,
is so strange because he even says Leslie Sloan is a liar. She tells us stuff about her client, the client gets mad, and then she comes back and says that she never said it.
yeah.
So then
No,
it's like, well, how do we know that this isn't one of those cases then?
well, exactly, and that's the whole point, really. What else did I say? No, hold on. Hold on, I've gone the wrong way. Oh, here we go. Right, I needed to share. Sorry, I dropped the share. I'll get that back. So it goes on though, because the Wayfarer made a great response in their original response to the motion initially that Sloan filed, and it was all about how procedurally the request was improper, because you're not supposed to just file a motion.
Yeah.
That's not what you do under the New York civil rights law. So they go on and they kind of reiterate that.
Yeah, they've
Um,
already answered this.
they
I
already
feel like
answered
this
it.
letter from Sloan was, I don't know. If the judge, I mean, he just has to at some point put his foot down the way he puts his foot down in the opposing
Yeah.
direction, you know? Because this is, I mean, this
Well, I
was
mean,
it's unwarranted. Like, and he before when before at the beginning when they were just filing and filing and filing and filing and
yeah,
answering, he said like, no, you get one filing, one letter of opposition, one
yeah.
file, so already that she's bringing up the exact same things with the same
And
arguments, and they've already answered it.
that's what they actually go on and say is like, look, even if she was actually making a good point, which she's not, um, you know, she's got to prove that all of the claims against her were made in bad faith.
Hmm.
And even there were multiple claims, but even for the defamation alone, um, there were several components to that. Didn't all hinge on this one text message or the one claim that, Sloan had told Batuska that that Sloan had told Batuska that Blake Lively had been sexually assaulted. It doesn't even hinge on just that. There was so much more than that. There was, what her and Lively and Reynolds all went to the New York Times
Oh
with,
my
the false
gosh, what they
narrative.
were doing with WME, how they
Yeah,
got them fired, how Leslie was spinning stories in August. I
yeah. The
mean,
Stephanie
there was,
Jones thing, then with the phone, and then her calling Melissa
yeah, there was
Mason.
way more stuff like
Yeah, there was there was
then
there was so much more. So I mean, I think even for that alone, but like I said, it wasn't even just a defamation claim. There was much more to it than defamation.
yeah.
So she cannot say, well, this one text proves everything was in bad faith. It proves that the claims were, that were brought against me, um, they were frivolous and all these other things. I mean, James Batuska, it sounds like Wayfarer also saying, well, we haven't cross-examined him. We haven't cross-examined that text, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But nothing's been tested. She's just grabbed his declaration and gone, look,
Yes,
and
and
she can't do
she's
that.
been dismissed. Like, isn't that enough? Like,
No, she
I
wants
mean,
her three point whatever million, or was it
yeah, she
1.3?
wants over $3 million from them, but I also feel like they still have the other text from James Vituscka that says, oh,
Yeah,
now she's saying she was sexually assaulted. Why didn't she say any of this before? She told me the whole cast hates Justin and Blake's not the problem. Or I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure that's almost exact. So I'm like, they
yeah,
still have that text from James Vituscka where he says that Leslie Sloan said that. And so with that text, of course, they would go now and file a lawsuit including that text, even though because this one says, oh, she lies all the time. All she does is lie. So it's like, how were they to know, oh, is he lying then or is he lying now or who's lying
yeah,
ever? Right? I mean, you have to go by what people kind of tell you the first time when they're before people have been able to reach them.
exactly. And then we I don't want to go too far with this, because there may be more to the story, but there is, obviously, Without a Crystal Ball has come and provided some information that she was given by James Vituscka. I haven't. I've done a thread on it actually on what I've received. But so there were some very interesting pieces in there. I did throw a bit of caution to some of it because again, that didn't have dates on it. It didn't have who it was sent by or who it was, received by. So there was some missing context. And if I'm going to say, well, the text messages Wayfarer provided or the text messages Blake Lively provided, they're missing dates and missing this, I'm going to say it about everything. So it's not, I'm not meaning to pick on anyone. I'm just saying, but I found some of the stuff that she posted quite interesting. What did you think?
Yeah, I feel the same way, like with you. Just take everything kind of with a grain of salt a little bit until it's proved or disproved. But I mean, I knew that she was, or I had suspicions that she was in conversation with him because I remember she also broke that he signed this first affidavit under duress. And it turned out that he did, because now he did say that he did sign it under duress. So I just don't know, like, the context of all of these conversations. They also say that Wayfarer has all of the information as well. Allegedly, he put together a huge PDF file and just sent it out to people. But I'm not sure who he sent it out to because nobody else I know got it other than Without a Crystal Ball. And Wayfarer didn't use it in their response back. So I'm just not sure. But those messages, I mean, so it seems like a serious crash out, number one. Like, you're going to like content creators and giving them the true story of what happened in a lawsuit where they're claiming content creators are smearing the parties. So that already to me seems very unprofessional and kind of counterproductive to what, the case is. It does seem like a serious crash out where he was just rambling on about like all of the stuff. But there is points that he made that he has proof that Leslie Sloan and Blake Lively's people were the ones doing a smear campaign in August where they got them to switch titles, put out stories about Justin, and do all of this stuff. So it does work for, I mean, if it's founded to be true, I mean, I don't know, but at this point, he's just not reliable. Like they said, he's very inconsistent. So who knows if that was true? Who knows at this point what's true, what's not true?
It is incredibly hard to know what was kind of going on. I did I'll screen share a little bit, but I'll put a link to this as well. So I did a thread on where I compared and contrasted his many conflicting statements. And what I also did was I linked to, because I've been watching this kind of character, I keep calling him character, I just find him interesting, but not in a good way, if that makes sense. But, like all of the different things he said, and I put because I've done threads or posts on all of them, and they're all kind of linked there. It wasn't the most thorough deep dive I've ever done. I was like really not well when I did this.
Yeah.
I mean, the red lines. So obviously this is from Without a Crystal Balls. This is hers, so I'm crediting her there. But apparently he sent this red lines. This was of his declaration. And I found it interesting. I mean, one of the first things he says is that he did not author the text messages. And he says that was Friedman's slight error. So who authored them? I don't know what that means. He didn't write his own text messages? I don't understand that, because then you got all these emails and text messages where he's being introduced to Brian Friedman, like, oh, are you okay to talk, etc. And he's saying yes.
I thought the use of the word author was quite interesting as well.
Yeah.
But also I completely agree with that because he was sending screenshots of text between him and Leslie Sloan.
Yeah.
So you're okay to send those text messages, but you're not okay to use your own text messages?
Yeah, exactly. I found this. I mean, stuff like this I do find interesting. This is what Charles Babcock did it with, for instance, with Blake Lively's first amended and then her second amended. He did red lines of what's different.
Wow.
In law, we use red lines a lot. When we kind of send documents back and we're like, it's proposed changes. And we've seen it a few times in this case, like with Blake Lively, when she wanted to pull her intentional emotional distress claims.
Yeah.
They presented the red lines then where she was proposing to do it without prejudice so she could bring them back again, and Wayfarer put in the red lines and said absolutely not. Which is fair. What is this one? Yeah, I mean, is it this one? I'm not quite sure. I'm just looking. Sorry.
Oh, there's a lot, so.
There is an awful lot. There was one where he says he wants to. I think it's this one actually. Yeah. So here, like in his latest declaration. Oh, I can't sing it. But can you see my mouth?
Yeah.
Right. Great. So in his current declaration, because I keep my mind open that there will be another one somewhere along the way. He says that Friedman and Wayfarer, Melissa Nathan specifically, have misled the court, right? But here, he says that it was Sloan that misled the court. Is this kind of like, and this is where I look for differences in what he says. He also says that he did not authorize his text to be used, but he clearly did.
Yeah, that's very interesting that in his first one he said Sloan used my info. I was, put in this position because of Sloan and the media.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward a couple months, and now it's Brian Freeman and Wayfarer's fault.
Exactly.
It's a complete turnaround from his first, declaration. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It really doesn't. But where was it? Oh, is it here? Yeah, like here, yes. In blue, I don't know if people can see this, hopefully they can, but he says that Friedman made a slight error. Basically, I think it's the error we've just been talking about, like where Friedman thought that back in August, the comment was made, or something like that. He made an error. It had the same confusion, basically, that the rest of us had over when Leslie Sloan mentioned sexual assault or sexual harassment. We're not even clear on that.
Yeah.
But I've noted here in blue, he claims that Friedman made a small mistake, which he claims Sloan never gave Friedman the chance to correct the record and capitalized on the error. And that is what he has said here. And Batuska says then in orange that it is Sloan who has twisted his words and misled the court, which is, for me, it was a far cry from the tone of his multiple declarations, which I got snarky. I called them amicus briefs for Sloan. But, just
that's actually the best reply because that's basically what she used them for,
Yeah,
I mean, the judge is going to see that and he's going to compare, pick a side. Exactly. He's going to compare what he said originally to what he said second to what he's saying now. I mean, it's completely opposite. How do you just do a whole turn like that? And unwarranted. No one asked James Vituscka to come in here and put in this affidavit a couple of days ago. Who
I
asked you to
know,
do that? Leslie Sloan probably did, because she's the
but
only one that benefits from it. But in reality, they jumped it too quick because it doesn't benefit her. I don't know, as much as I think she thinks it does.
and I think this is where we have the nuts and bolts of it all, right? Because I mean, in Pink, right? This made me laugh. Yeah, his words are, not only did that never happen, I told Miss Nathan and Mr. Friedman in writing on December the 25th, 2024, that it never happened. I was shocked when I learned that these allegations in the amended complaint were based on a statement that was never made. Now, Wayfarer did their amended complaint in early February, and this guy didn't sign a declaration. And even when he signed his first declaration, all he said was that he made a mistake as to the wording, like
Yeah.
using assault, not harassment. He didn't say it wasn't true at that point. All he said was, well, they didn't ask me what I meant by it. But I was like, but you were having the conversation. I'm sure they did ask, what did you mean by that? And I think in green here now, the beef he's coming with is that he says that this mistake from Friedman cost him his reputation, job, and career.
Yeah. That's
That's
what I'm saying. We got to stop playing the blame game here and take some accountability. If, lawyers are reaching out for you for statements, it doesn't matter who you work with. You usually have to contact your managers or HR or whatever. So at that time, he still worked for the Daily Mail. So why are you in a text change with lawyers on opposing counsel, especially over social media and things put into the press? I mean, like there's a breach of privacy and journalist integrity, first of all, and I think that's why he got fired. I don't think it had to do with anything other than
no,
that.
I don't think. I think yes, journalistic integrity, absolutely. I am looking for a particular thing, because there was something here. Um, Yeah, here we go. They knew that I gave this info to the attorney and a party, and I now know that I did not need to authorize the usage of it. So, it says here, in these comments, that he was well aware he didn't need to authorize it. He knew who he was giving it to and how it would be used. So, I this guy's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's just, he needs to really just figure out, what the truth is and speak the truth and not play whatever side you think is best for you or your future or money or career. Just tell the truth, because at this point you're saying you didn't author it, then you did author it, then you didn't say it, but you did say it. There's text of you saying it. So it's like, which one is it? And to already
Yeah,
speak to them on December 25th, which is days after the New York Times article came out, days after Blake Lively filed for CRD, what did you think they were going to use your text messages for? They're asking
exactly.
you to screenshot your conversations with Leslie Sloan. You're saying Leslie is a liar. She's this. She started a smear campaign. I mean, his text on December 25th are completely tearing Leslie Sloan apart. And then he's sending them screenshots of him with Leslie Sloan. What did you think they were going to use them for, if not to
Exactly.
counter a lawsuit, like file a counter lawsuit?
Well, Millennial Mom, thank you so much for the super chat. Um, she's actually asked, she says, well, she says, I don't understand why James would go on the docket with his revised statement, knowing he sent all this to Katie Joy. In all honesty, neither do I. Unless he's made
Nobody,
up,
nobody understands.
nobody
That was
understands this.
my first question. If you had this big crash out and you put together this entire PDF and had all of
Yeah,
these conversations, especially with a content creator like Without a Crystal Ball who keeps every single receipt ever possible, you
yeah.
know, you obviously knew that when this came out, those were going to come out. So it's almost like, are you completely self-sabotaging yourself or making yourself discreditable or not creditable so that you don't have to be in this anymore? Like, I have no idea because it doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. I don't know why he would do it, in all honesty. Unless he's weighing up, well, who's the bigger problem in my life,
Yeah.
Leslie Stone, who has the backing of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, or Katie Joy.
Yeah, exactly. Who
You
is
know,
it?
and,
I
and
mean,
yeah, I'm not being, I don't say that to be dismissive at all. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to resources and so on and so forth, I don't know why he's done this. I think he's a grade A idiot. That would be a good
yeah,
start.
it's not very like I mean, none of these moves that he's taken was smart. I mean, it wasn't smart immediately to even be talking to the Wayfarer parties after the CRD complaint was filed. It wasn't smart to play Leslie against, Melissa Nathan. It wasn't smart to talk to content creators. It wasn't smart to keep filing affidavits that completely discredit the other one. None of it just to me seems like an unraveling that I'm so intrigued by it, but I'm also like,
Well, yeah,
what's going on?
this is why I've actually because I was like gonna. I honestly I dragged myself from my sick bed to put together that thread, because this guy is piquing my interest. Like, I think there is more going on that we haven't been told. I don't think we got the full. Well, I don't know for certain, so I'm not saying this as fact, but there could be, like, in his communications with Wayfarer, there could be another side. In his communications with Leslie Sloan, there could be another side. And in his communications with Without a Crystal Ball, we have seen her drop her stuff. There may be another side of the conversation. Um,
There's
and
always chess
yeah,
moves being played at every corner. I mean, there's things that have been filed and things that have come out and texts that have been shown and, things that have leaked that I'm like, I did not see that coming, like this whole
no,
thing. So who knows what's next. I hope he has some kind of game plan because right now it just looks like a complete hot mess, to be honest. And
it
I
really
think there's a
does.
lot more happening that we didn't get privy to yet. I'm with you on that. Like there's a lot more to this story and to this James guy because it doesn't make any sense.
I do think there's more to it, and I'm hoping, because Wayfarer haven't actually responded to his new declaration. I mean, we've seen them kind of reference it in this response to Sloan, but they haven't responded to his declaration, and they can still do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. Um, I don't know what to make of him. I mean, I've seen the stuff I've seen from Katie. It does suggest that, assuming that they are communications from him to what I'm assuming would be someone at the Daily Mail, because I think a lot of these communications were, he shared stuff that, communications between himself and editors potentially, or lawyers for the Daily
Mm-hmm.
Mail.
I mean, he's
Um,
definitely throwing the Daily Mail under the bus too when he's saying
yeah.
like they ignored my investigation. They were, smearing the Wayfair people. They ignored the facts. I mean, he
Mm.
definitely threw his employer or ex-employer. I mean, he's kind of just, I think, burning it all to the ground.
Oh no, I know, absolutely. Thank you, Elle. Um, can you read this? Yeah,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's
that's
so
really
sweet.
sweet.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think there's more, and I will be keeping an eye on tracking it a little bit, because I feel like in my personal opinion is, even if we take the declaration out, the message is, it's actually helping Wayfarer,
I agree.
because whereas I was confused, um, all of this stuff, I was like, oh, well, what did he say? What did he actually say? Because I'm confused. There are conflicting messages. Now I put it all together. Um, I think if you put the whole chain together, which I agree Wayfarer could have done better.
Yeah.
It does. The actual story is that in the real moment, nothing was said about sexual harassment, but now she's saying it. This doesn't make sense, and that's kind of what I got from the whole with James Vituscka part of it.
Same. So what I got is originally he said, "Oh, well, she never said anything about sexual harassment back then, but now she's saying she was sexually assaulted. What the H is going on?" That's what I got from it. So obviously there has to have been a conversation somewhere with Leslie Sloan that she was running her mouth saying something about something, whether it was harassment, no matter what it was, right? Like maybe he minced his words or got it wrong, but there was definitely a conversation had. And now this exhibit just shows that he was working with Wayfarer and sending them screenshots. And he was referring to the screenshots that he was sending that it doesn't say anything about harassment. So I think he was just kind of saying like, hey, all it says is like it talks about Melissa Nathan, it talks about Stephanie Jones, it talks about this. Like, is that good? It doesn't say anything about harassment. They're like, yeah, just send whatever you have. And he was sending it. And then he talks about how Leslie Sloan was smearing Justin and how she's a liar. So it doesn't look good for Leslie Sloan. Like, it looks really bad if you take out his like declarations, because his declarations are very, I mean, opposite of each other, right?
Exactly. And then on top of that, right, he appears to have confirmed what I have been saying from the start, that actually there was something in the whole Taylor Swift extortion thing. I was 100% unmovable on Brian Friedman has just signed an affidavit on this. He has put his career and his potentially his freedom, because if he's found if he's found to be to have perjured himself, that often carries a huge fine or a prison sentence of some kind. But certainly his career, which is incredibly successful, would be gone.
Oh, absolutely.
And if someone is going to stand up for a client and go to that level, they're not sitting there with nothing and calling the judge's bluff.
And to Taylor Swift and the Swifties. And if it wasn't true, Taylor Swift would have been real quick to come back with something, and she didn't say nothing about it. Do you know?
James Vituska, because don't forget, James Vituska also run the story on the whole, Brian Friedman has withdrawn his subpoena because he got what he needed and more. Do you remember that? Because she referred, Blake Lively referred to it as part of a motion to compel. So he's the guy that ran the story. He said a source. He didn't say it was Wayfarer. He said it was a source says that the subpoena has been withdrawn because Brian Friedman got what he needed and more. Those were his words. Apparently, he divulged to Without a Crystal Ball as part of this kind of sharing exercise they went on. I wonder if they had one of those kind of, the talking stick or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't shut up. But apparently it was Taylor Swift's publicist, which I'm assuming he's referring to Tree Payne.
Tree Payne. So I read that too, that he got all of his information from Tree Payne, which makes me think that he was the one that introduced Brian Freeman to whoever he was talking to, because Brian Freeman also said, I was put into contact with someone with Taylor Swift, and we've been talking since February.
It was, actually, I've just seen the name. At the bottom here, Swift's rep, Tree Payne, is my source. And he confirms that it was Scott Swift. And I would think, if he's actually telling the truth, and this is where I exercise caution, then he'd be the person who would know this. And this is why this is kind of getting interesting now, because we're getting. I feel like gaps are starting to close in some of the stories. So as much as I think he's unreliable, and whilst I'm not doubting Without a Crystal Ball, I feel like there's part of a story. I know she has actually said there is a lot more she could make. I think she was quoted as saying, I could make 4,000 videos on all the stuff I've got. So I look forward to those 4,000 videos. I'll watch them.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Exactly. But the information, I gotta work with the information that's here. I can't not cover James Vituscka, his declaration, and kind of ignore all this stuff just because of where it's coming from. I got to at least kind of look at it, comment on it.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's interesting. I'm curious about where it all goes and what more comes out. I've seen there's been stuff like I made a point of not commenting on the Bradley Cooper stuff that she put out. Like I believe I think it was Leslie Sloan, but don't quote me, was, you know, like basically smearing Bradley Cooper, who was friends supposedly with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. She
That's
was
so
even,
strange because Blake
yeah,
put Bradley Cooper in the credits of It Ends With Us as a special thank you.
exactly,
And they had the meeting of the dragons at Bradley Cooper's house before she put her 17 points of demands in. So
exactly,
they're
yeah.
obviously close. And he went to her like private screening of her movie and gave her like really bad notes, I guess, said that the movie didn't make any sense.
That's probably why
So,
the
I mean,
smearing come in then. But I mean, I didn't go near that because I don't feel like it's relevant to the case.
well, I'm just wondering, I'm wondering where this is all now going to unfold. So, is this even going to have any bearing? Is it going to make it into the courts? Is
Yeah.
it something that Wayfarer can use? Do you know where is this going to go? Like what is this doing other than completely dismantling James Vituscka?
Well, I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I don't know if he's been deposed. It sounded like from Wayfarer's response today that you know, by the use of the phrase he has been cross-examined. That there's not been a deposition yet. There may be one coming. I don't know. They may have, everyone may have now decided, look, he's just unreliable.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, the only reason why he was in, I think, as a witness to begin with was because of Leslie Sloan. So he could have just skated away at this
Yeah,
point and never said anything ever again. That's why I feel like they got to him and tried to bring him back in like somebody did because he was out. Like he was done. Leslie Sloan was out of here. So I don't know, unless she's really fighting for those attorney fees that she made him sign another I don't know what I cannot predict the next move from anyone, you know.
no, I can't. It's wild the direction this is taken,
Yeah.
and we've you know, but I mean, I'll have I'll wait and see what he does next. I'm sure me and you will get together and in very soon and go over some, you know, like with his
Yeah, the
next
next
declaration or something like that.
yeah, the next one that comes through for sure.
Exactly. But I mean, we've got a big day tomorrow as well. So we've got the Prez of it.
Yeah.
Our friend Prez is going to fight his subpoena.
Perez is inside the courtroom. I mean,
I
Blake Lively is
know.
now everywhere. I mean, her lawyers are making so much money from this.
I
I think
know.
he has a really good chance, you know. But then again, I also thought that the Wayfarer Council, I thought Brian Freeman, Tailman, and Cooley LLP, there's no way their motion to quash isn't gonna get obviously, you know, approved. But then that judge was like, no, I'm just going to transfer it to Judge Lyman. So then that might happen tomorrow too for
To
Perez. But
be,
I'm wishing him all the best and good for
yeah,
him for fighting this, you know.
I think, I think, I think the reason well, I know the reason that Friedman's subpoena got transferred from California was because they didn't really put up an argument. I think they were a bit complacent in that. They argued the merits of the subpoena, but they didn't kind of argue the request for transfer.
Yeah, they were pretty vague. Like I think they
Yeah,
need to be like really more intentional and specific and drive
yes.
it home. Drive
And I
it home.
said to Prez, because I remember doing a live, I think I might have been reading my motion to quash, and he was in the chat, and I was aware that I'd seen one of his filings. I think it was the notice of the motion to quash, and he made a point of saying, you know, or it was Lively's response actually might have been where there was a footnote. It said we have we requested a transfer to New York, and I made a point in that when I knew Prez could hear me in the live chat, I was like, and make sure you fight this. Wayfarer didn't fight hard enough, and it got transferred. So make sure you do this. And,
Yeah.
I think he's fought it quite well for pro se.
Yeah, I'm in Nevada, it was fought really well. I'll say that. You know, the first few filings, but I understand why he did it. Like, I mean, I understand everything about it. And I think he has a really good shot tomorrow, but I just wish him all the best. And I
Yeah,
just hope that, you know, his voice is heard and he's able to speak his truth and is heard, you know.
Well, Rosewild is half right here. So, citizen journalist CJ will be there to take notes and let us know what's going on. I think Lauren was going to go, but I'm not sure she is now. I know she's not particularly very well, so I don't think Lauren's going. And Rose Wild has asked a question. I wonder why Jeddah still has to use the New York docket with Blake even after it was transferred back to Texas. No, there's two separate cases. One, so she is suing him in New York, which he's trying to get dismissed from, but he is suing her in Texas. So there are actually two separate dockets. They're not the same case. And this one's from Girly for you, Mandy.
Oh, Stephanie motherfucking Jones. I cannot stand her. I can't stand her.
I can't
She's
stand
the
her
reason
either.
why we're here. She's literally the reason why we're here. I can't. Like, Stephanie motherfucking Jones is, oh
Oh my
my
God, she is
God.
the worst. She is
She's the worst. She is the worst, and she so far has been able to get off scot-free. Like,
yeah.
because she's not filing that much. Her case isn't really, they're stalled right now on the whole Van Zandt document discovery, all of that stuff. But I'm like, once all of that comes out, like, it's a wrap for her. Like, we're here because of her, you know? She's a
I
monster. She's a
when
monster.
I
Mm-mm.
always say this, but when I do, because when I do my threads on the filings, I always try to pick an appropriate GIF. Sometimes I just kind of go a bit free range, and there's other times then where it's like themed, like I'll do Harry Potter ones or I'll do mic drop ones, all the way through. For Stephanie Jones, I always do Cruella de Vil. Always, because she gives me that vibe, of being,
Oh,
like
100%. The
this
things
female
I've
boss
read,
who would screw people
the
over and make
no, 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 the
quote out of
deep dives
puppies.
I've gone on about Stephanie motherfucking Jones, like those deep dives, she's
Yeah.
horrendous. She's horrendous. Like, oh, anyway, what a meanie. But
Oh,
I
she's
do have
awful.
to run at
Yeah.
6. I like now at 6:01, so I do have to
No,
go.
that's fine. I'm wrapping up now. We covered everything and more. Thank you so much. We did overshoot. I'm sorry about that, but I
No, no,
appreciate
no.
your
I
time.
mean, it's always a pleasure. I absolutely adore you and
Oh,
all
thank
the
you.
women covering this case and fighting for rights and freedoms. I did not think back in December when I started covering this case that it would lead to what it's led
Oh
to.
my
Like,
goodness, no, it's been
it's pretty
wild.
nuts. But yeah, I mean, just bravo to everyone that's been following the case because on some days, some weeks even, it's just like, what's
Oh
happening.
no, it's mental. I mean, I'm grateful for the kind of the ability to navigate, but honestly, that subpoena, like having to step away from the docket for 2 weeks, that in itself really put me back. Like, and
Oh
I come back
gosh,
and
yeah.
I mean, they're filing so much every day, like,
There
and
were
I'm trying to
days where
catch
there
up.
was days where there was like 25 to 27 filings in a day.
I know.
What?
I can't, and I'm just one person, right? And I'm just speaking for myself. I know there's so many other people who are covering it who do similar things, but because I do these streams, but I also, because I do the X threads and I break it down, especially from the legal point,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes such a long time to read everything. And by the time I've got through one thread, there's 6 other things on the docket,
I
and I'm just
know.
like,
Sometimes
oh.
I
So I've
finished
not
a
covered
whole
some of the
video.
side stuff now. And like, the case in Coslow, I'll just summarize. Tomorrow I'm going to just do all the Nevada filings for press and just do a summary post, because to do each thing is just too much.
There's too much. I know I haven't even been able to get into like Case and Coslow in so long. Like I keep seeing it, I'm reading it, but then it's like,
Yeah.
it's what do you choose to talk about? Because some days you're right, it's a lot. I'll like do a whole video, edit it, it takes hours out of my day and then send it. And there's like 5 new filings, and I'm like, oh shit. I
That's
guess
why I'm
that's
like,
next time,
I've got no life anymore. But I mean, I'm glad I've kind of caught up now. I feel a bit. Then I got knocked out with my illness, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's. I absolutely love you too. I love talking to you. I could talk for
me
hours. I
too.
usually do.
I know I could talk, we can go on and on and on, I
Oh
swear.
no,
But no, I'm happy that you're feeling better and
thank you.
just take it day by day and
Yeah.
Do what you can. I mean, listening to your body and your spirit is number one over anything to do with like live lead, you know, so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I will to let everyone know, I will call you back on really soon because I really do love the energy as well. The whole chat
Thanks.
is enjoyed it, and I love that. So yeah, thank you so much. I
No,
really
thank
appreciate it.
you.
And
Oh
thank
my
you.
God. Okay. Okay. I
Thank you,
love you
Eliza,
too.
as well.
I'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message soon for sure.
Yeah, do that. Take care of
Okay.
yourself.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Love you.
Love
See
you.
you.
Bye.
Love you.